Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Right. Well, look, if people haven't seen you before or know not of your work, can you give us a little bit of an intro of who you are and how you got into crypto?
Sure. So name's Alejandro de La Torre, as you said. I've been in crypto and Bitcoin actually 2013. Started when it was just a bunch of nerds in their basements, and I was one of them. And decided to mix my passion for crypto and for Bitcoin and technology with my passion for business. So I began a string of businesses, which one of them was acquired by Bitmain, Blocktrail. Then there we started BTC.com. It's a big mining pool. It was the largest mining pool for 2 years. We started with just 6 guys and we grew it to about 150 people. After a couple of years working there, being the largest mining pool in Bitcoin for 2 years, I left and I joined Poolin, which was actually started by the same guys that started BTC.com at Bitmain too. So it's the same crew, more or less. We started mining Bitcoin a year ago, and we were with 0 percentages, and now we're around 20. So we grew in 1 year to be from nothing to probably the second or the first largest mining pool in the world.
That's incredible. I mean, take us back to 2013. Were you one of the nerds or were you one of the cooler nerds?
Well,
you look quite cool.
Thanks. Well, I mean, I was.
I thought you'd be more interested in girls at that time.
No, I am interested in girls. But yeah, so I always had that kind of that blessing where I was, I was good at business and good at talking with people. I'm not very shy at all, but I'm also extremely nerdy. So I thought, that's a perfect place for me here, because back in those days it was just nerds.
It's interesting. Take me back to can you remember?
Yeah.
Like they say that everybody knows where they were when John F. Kennedy was shot. Everybody knows where they were when the Twin Towers were hit by the planes.
Right.
Sorry to depress you, but where were you? Can you remember the time and the place where you first heard about Bitcoin?
Yeah, I was in my dorm room and read about it, and I couldn't stop reading. Once I heard about it. Once I started reading about it, I couldn't stop. I literally could not stop. I just really, really got into it. The thing is that it really appealed to me because of, I've always been also kind of into, but I've always very much been into trying to, having freedom for humanity and financial freedom and these type of ideals. I follow them. And I saw how, the financial system itself is kind of causing a lot of issues for humanity as a whole. These negative interest rates and bankers and all that stuff. They're not we were still fresh out of the banking crisis of 2008 and how everyone bailed them out. So I was looking for answers, and Bitcoin seemed to be the answer for me. And once I started getting into it, I literally did not stop. And now it's 2020 and I'm still here.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting though. I mean, so what year do you think, when did you first pick up that white paper?
2013. It was mid-2013.
2013. And correct. What was Bitcoin's price back then at that time?
$200.
All right, so it was already kind of growing.
Yeah, it was already. Yeah, it was already hitting. There was a lot of enthusiasm in the markets, and people
but still
were
really small. The community must have been really small.
Yeah, everything was in those days. Everything was on Bitcoin Talk and on and on actually IRC chat, Internet Relay chat. So those were really. But it actually reminded me a lot. I was always into nerdy stuff. So video games, I was always into video games and and building my own computers and whatnot. So there was always these type of forums and IRC channels where I was already into these things. So it was just a natural step to get into something else. And this time it was Bitcoin.
So, I mean, how did you go about getting your first Bitcoin? Did you buy, I don't even know, because I'm an NG, a newgie. You're an OG.
Okay.
So tell me, what was your first purchase?
Well, luckily I was based in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, it was quite simple to buy Bitcoin. It wasn't simple those days, but it was doable. I was able to actually, those days there was Mount Gox and a bunch of other old school exchanges that don't exist anymore. So I just sent money to those exchanges, which were. But remember, I was a student, so it was not a lot of money in the first place.
Come on, you were using your student loan. Did you buy any with your student loan?
Yeah. Well, I did. I was a poor student, so that's I did some trading and stuff, but that I didn't quite like. I don't like trading. I think trading is it's like I said earlier to you before this conversation. I think it's a profession, and it takes a lot of years of training. And I'm more of a creative type in terms of, like, I like to do things and build things, not just sit there in front of a chart all day and look at your TA.
Well, look, you've established your credentials. 2013, you were pretty much, well, if not, they weren't the first wave, but you were I guess the second wave.
Second wave, probably.
And you were really inspired by this thing called Bitcoin. You read the white paper; it whetted your appetite. You were involved in all these forums. You were right. You were getting deep. You'd gone into the crypto rabbit hole. How then did you get involved in mining? And just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, after dabbling after reading a lot, and luckily, I also really like to read. So I read a lot about crypto and Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin, because those days it was just Bitcoin and Namecoin, maybe Dogecoin. So I read a lot about Bitcoin, and I started trying to find out. I had already done a lot of businesses before. I went to school. Actually, I've been in business my whole life since I was a kid. I've been trying to run businesses. So I thought, let me see what type of. I saw a lot of potential in Bitcoin. I saw many things untouched. Right, it was just really a lot of people, a lot of developers doing lots of really amazing things, but with zero or very little business acumen. So I and I could speak their language. So I started looking into ways to where I can apply myself. And then one of the first things I did was actually mine. I actually bought I got a crappy job, and I used that money to buy a bunch of GPU cards. And I had my by that point I was already back in my house in the Netherlands. And I basically had my whole living room full of GPU miners. And I was mining Bitcoin with those things, and also lots of altcoins as well. But I didn't. Number one is that it was a big hassle. They would break often, and it was a lot of maintenance with these GPUs, and it was too much. It was too much work. And I don't know. I thought there must be a better way. So I thought I sold all the GPUs, and then I started a couple of startups that would. One of them was actually there was a bunch, but basically I ended up joining the Blocktrail team, which had an API and analytics and a block explorer. This is 2014 already, 2014. I joined the team because I was already using their analytics. I was already using their API, so I just joined the team. One day I just walked in and I never left. And then I started working there, and after around 2 years, Bitmain came knocking on our door. They were looking to expand, I guess, into Europe and to the West, and they acquired us and merged us.
how large were Bitmain back then? Were they the largest even then?
Yeah, they were the largest, but there was no one else, right? I think when I joined, there was around maybe 250, 300, 250 people, which is very small compared to when at one point there were around 3,000 people. So yeah, it was really early on. I got to meet the whole entire Bitmain team and work closely with the executive team of Bitmain. In those days, it was great because there was no inner fighting in Bitmain. We were in control of our own destiny. Basically, us at BTC.com, we would basically ask for funding or not funding, but ask for our budget, and we would build things, and then we started building the mining pool. It started going very well, so it was a really good time. Yeah, it was a really good time.
Cool. Well, you talked just there about a mining pool. What
Yeah.
is a mining pool for those out there who don't know what a mining pool is?
Yeah, sure. So back in the day, it was very simple. You could actually just hook up your laptop. You can download the Bitcoin QT wallet, which is the original wallet, and it would always mine. It would be mining whenever you were using it. It was a node and it was mining, and anyone could do it on their laptop, and they would get Bitcoin. Now, but then it started
glorious days. They sound like.
Yeah, they were good. I wasn't part of those days. I wasn't part of those days, but yeah, they sound really good. But eventually people started really, like everything else in human nature, people, tend to make things better. Us humans, that's what we do. We try to, fix things and make things even better. So some smart guys thought, oh, we can use, instead of using the CPU to mine, we can use GPUs. So then Bitcoin switched to GPUs. And when Bitcoin switches to a stronger machine, the Bitcoin network difficulty, which is basically a computer rule that Satoshi Nakamoto put in Bitcoin, which basically maintains a constant of 10 minutes. That's what it does. It has to maintain a constant of 10 minutes per block. So then all these GPUs came in, and the Bitcoin difficulty got harder. More people started jumping in because Bitcoin started growing in value. And then even smarter guys decided to, create FPGAs. And then even smarter started designing ASICs, which basically stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit. And then everyone, a lot of people started jumping in, and the difficulty skyrocketed. The Bitcoin price also skyrocketed. So then you could not mine anymore by yourself in these when this started to happen. Actually, the smart guys at Slush Pool, they're actually the creators of the protocol called Stratum version 1. They created a way for miners to pool themselves, hence the word mining pool, in order for their chances to find the Bitcoin reward to increase. And that was the beginning of the mining pool industry. And basically, there's no other way to do it nowadays. You have to join a mining pool, and what it does is that it pools your mining resources together, and then your chances of finding Bitcoin increase.
Wow. So I mean, it sounds like it must be by now, if you're talking about things getting better and better, that this is a super, super competitive industry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you guys are quite Poolin. Tell us a little bit about them.
Sure.
They're a real player, aren't they?
Yeah, we are. We're around 20. I think I checked yesterday. Actually, I haven't checked today, but we're around 20% of the whole entire Bitcoin network is coming in through Poolin.
That's incredible. So I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Yeah. And to answer your question, yes, it's extremely competitive. Mining, like one other aspect of Bitcoin that I really like, aside from its, it's the power it gives to humanity and the freedom it unlocks for all of us, is also just the pure business of the whole entire system. How well created it is in terms of how the miners, if more miners jump in, it gets even harder to mine. And if they leave, it's just pure capitalist. Mining is just pure capitalism, and that's what I enjoy the most, I think.
I thought
And
capitalism was dead.
no,
Well,
not in
that's what they're
mining,
saying
not
in the
in Bitcoin
news.
mining. Oh, whatever. I
Oh, I
don't.
like you already. Right. Okay. Now, let's. So, yeah, this is a really fascinating area. So,
Sure.
look, I'm just a normal, average Joe. Can I get involved in pooling? Can I get a piece of the action?
Yeah. I mean, it really anyone can do it, right? But you have to buy. You have to have some money because you have to buy the machines. You have to
Okay, so
buy
bring me through that.
you have to buy a mining. So they're called mining rigs. They're the ASICs I was speaking about earlier. You would have to purchase these equipment, these computers. That's what they are, the computers. And what they do is just mine Bitcoin or mine one specific coin very well. That's all they do. You have to have that, and then there's a few variables. You have to basically set up a mining operation. You can have one in your living room. Like I know so many people that have one in their basement or whatever. That's what they do. That's kind of like their they're not gonna you're not gonna become rich or anything like that, but
I know.
it's still fun. But if you're gonna really do a mining farm operation, you're gonna have to it's a business that you're gonna get into. You're getting into basically.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, all right. Tell me what's gone on this year. I mean, we've had the halving. Obviously, that's had a dramatic effect. That's had a huge effect on the network and a huge effect on mining, potentially, or not even potentially. What can you give us the lowdown on that?
Yes.
What's going on? What's happened?
Well, what happened was that I kind of actually before the halving, I did a little bit of an analysis of our pool, and I came to the conclusion that around 20% of the mining equipment that was connected to our pool were older equipment. So I assumed that around 20% of the network would around 15 to 30%, 20% of the whole entire Bitcoin mining network was similar to us. So I assumed that around that percentage would turn off after the halving, and I was correct. Around 20%. Sometimes it went up. One time it was up to 30%, but around 20% on average shut off after the halving. And every single pool lost quite a lot of hash rate. But the halving is a known event, right? It's something that everyone knows is going to happen. It happens every 4 years, every 21 210,000 blocks. It occurs. So mining pools and miners were preparing for this for a while. In essence, it's not really a big deal, to be honest with you. It's the inefficient miners shut off, which happened last time. And these miners need to find a new home where electricity is like either free or extremely cheap, or they just shut off. And then the efficient miners continue to mine, and new miners come into the network, and the hash rate continues to go up as it's been doing historically. So it's kind of it's basically flushing out the inefficient miners.
Right. Okay. Well, do you know Matt D'Souza?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right. Well, he did an analysis before the halving, and he could see. I don't know if you do the same kinds of analysis, but he was incredibly bullish. He said looking at all of the you can kind of maybe see behind the scenes a little bit because of the work that you do. But he's very, very bullish for the price of Bitcoin in the future. Do you hold the same kind of opinion? Are you just as bullish?
Yeah. Yes. Of course. Yes. The amount of investment that's been coming into the mining industry is just off the charts. Every single day I get hit up by a few people that are trying to purchase miners, trying to send miners, trying to open new operations. I got operations inquiring for new people to come in, for miners to come in and join their mining farm. It's the amount of, and you can also see it in the manufacturers. They always sell out. Their equipment sells out in maybe a couple of hours, right?
Wow.
Well, what does that, what that's just fundamentally, as a fundamental, it's a very strong one, right? Everyone's investing so much money into the infrastructure that maintains the Bitcoin network. Then what I think is a very bullish thing.
Okay. Well, I'm glad. Very quickly, you recently did a partnership with Blockfire. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened there?
Yeah. So we're very happy to work with Blockfire. We've been talking to them for a while already, and we're glad to get this through. The mining pool business is straightforward, right? You set up a mining farm connects to us. We take a fee off the top, and that's it. But there's a lot of money, there's a lot of Bitcoin coming in, and there are a lot of miners that require services and sometimes even products. So as a business, we have to find ways to expand our business. And one way that we found that is a very good way is loans, giving our miners loans, and BlockFi is helping us unlock that. They're basically allowing our miners to have Bitcoin collateralized loans through us, which is first in the industry. And I think it's going to be extremely huge. It's good. I think this is actually the beginning of the financial services around mining. I think we're the first player to actually, put our step forward, so to speak, into this new paradigm that we're going to be seeing occurring in the next 4 years for sure.
Oh, I love those words, paradigm. We're the first. You're the first. So you know what? First mover advantage. Man, this sounds really interesting. We'll have to get you back on to discuss more about it. But in the meantime, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'll be honest with you.
Great.
I know jack about mining. I'm, as I say, a new G, not an old G. But it's great hearing your story. How you went from that crypto nerd, inverted commas, into like this. You're basically in probably one of the most exciting sectors in the whole of the crypto industry. And
I think so too.
I can see you've been working really hard. I'll let you rest and get back to it. And I know you're taking your lady out tonight, so I'll let you enjoy that. Thanks so much for coming on today. And we'll get you back on when if there's any developments in the future.
For sure, I would love to get back on. Thanks a lot, Uncle Bob. And I think it's actually really strong fundamental mining, and I think everyone should learn more about mining. It's a good thing.
Okay, cool. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Thank you.